This is Boxing Tickets, and we are here at MHD Promotions Fist of Fury. Delighted to be joined by the victorious Conor Quinn. Conor, what obviously a statement to make the start of 2024. I thought you were sort of playing about with him there a wee bit. Obviously in the first round you sort of come out and he was swinging and sort of going, I'm going to be in for a tasty fight here, but once you landed to the body, I think that was the beginning of the end for him.
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't even say I was playing about with him. I was just sort of seeing what he had to bring, and he seemed very game, very strong, and I just had to return fire just to let him know I'm still there. And fortunately, when I returned, he didn't like it, so I knew then. He's good at giving it, but he wasn't just as good as taking it. So, and in fairness, now I've watched a bit of footage on him in his last couple of fights, and he's put some real good opponents down, and he's knocked a few people out, but they haven't hit him back as hard as I was going to hit him there. So I sort of half knew that in my own head, that once I was landing my shots, he would take a half step back, and I just didn't expect it to come so early, but thankfully it did.
We obviously, when we've done previous interviews, obviously the opponents that don't come to fight and everything else, that's the sort of opponents you want, and that's what you sort of meant before as the level was going up. Like that was his 31st professional fight tonight, and you sort of nearly made him look like a schoolboy sort of in some ways, not to be disrespectful to him, but you handled him with ease. That's the sort of opponents that you wanted, where they're coming forward, they want to win, so you can inflict the most damage on them.
Yeah, definitely. When someone's coming in there just to cover up, it's hard to land the big shots, it's hard to catch them clean, and it's hard to hurt them. Whereas when you have someone like that who's game, strong, and trying to take my head off, I'm going to find the openings, land my shots, and I know that I'm a big, strong flyweight, and when I do land the shots, it's going to hurt them. Especially someone the likes of that guy there, who most of his fights he's knocking people out. So he's used to hurting people. He did not really like getting hurt back. So I knew that once I was sort of find the openings there, that I would take him out. And I think anyone coming to take my head off like that is in for a sore night.
I guess you had one obviously in Orlando, Florida. I know you said to me sort of earlier yesterday, you were sort of, I can't really focus on that too much yet. The last thing you wanted was obviously get a bad cut or something tonight. So you're sort of relieved in some ways to get over in 2 rounds and sort of you come out fresh. You don't even think you land a punch to your head. So you're sort of relieved of that, because the last thing you want's obviously being travel banned.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously I'm heading off to Orlando here on Monday, and I haven't even done a bit of washing for it. Like when I have a fight coming up, I fully focus on that fight. Like there wouldn't be 1 second of my day given to anything else other than the attention of the fight. So I'm absolutely buzzing now. I can start to think about Florida, and me and Jessica can go off for a holiday and watch Big Potty do the business. But like you said, you always have that slight sort of worry about getting a cut or even just hurting my own hand or something, which is very possible in a boxing fight. So I get out of there, perfect outcome. Got a bit of a vice in the corner, got into the second round, took him out, and there's no damage on me, and we're off on Monday.
That's 18 months obviously back since you sort of September 2022, obviously since you returned. That's obviously 8 fights in that time period. Obviously you have 2 belts. Like you couldn't be obviously happier how things are going.
Definitely. I remember back then when I was thinking, like, is this going to really take off or what's going to happen? And I was torturing Mark, and he was always just saying to me, just be patient, trust me, and everything will fall into place. And I have to give him his own place there, because he's done everything he said he would do. He's delivered on everything. There's a couple of shows that have headlined now. I've picked up a few belts, and I've knocked a few people out and look good doing it.
What would you like to obviously happen next? Obviously, we know there's obviously the Conor Butler and Jay Harris fight next week. There obviously is the IBO belt. Obviously, was fought by Casey Kadimi. Obviously, recently I think he lost the Jackson Chauke. Where would you sort of like to go next? Obviously, I guess ideally, the British titles are the one that obviously you've thought of from a very early age. Where would you like to go next? I guess the good thing is that Butler Harris fight now is on dazn next week, so they sort of throw a sort of thing out there. Matchroom come back here in June with Lewis Crocker. The potential, obviously, Mark's relationships like with Eddie, that way obviously you could get British, Commonwealth and European on the one night.
Yeah, definitely. Like all them belts that you just mentioned would be a dream come true for me to win them. So obviously, like I says, previous times before, it's harder getting the fights than you think, because the likes of Jay Harris, if he wins these belts, it's going to be a second time holding them. He's wanting another crack at a world title, and he probably deserves it, you know what I mean? Well, he does deserve it, but if he wins the belts, is he going to want to defend, or is he going to want to push on? So then I'm sort of left with him making a decision, and then obviously Conor Butler, if he was to win the belts, he's similar age to myself, probably sort of similar level to myself at the moment, so that would be another great fight. But again, he's going to have a couple of mandatories for them titles, so I'm just happy to fight anyone for any belt. And like he says, there the IBO world title, I would absolutely love that too. You know, obviously, Padraig won the IBO world title, and what a night that was for everyone. And no, it's still one of the best nights in my boxing career, and it was nothing even to do with me. So, listen, I know he fought that Casey Kadimi, I think, in the York Hall in London. So that guy came over to London, won the belt. I think he's from South Africa. I'm sure he'd have no problem in coming back to this sort of side of the world and defending against me. So, yeah, anyone, any belt, any time, any place.
Anywhere. I guess, they sort of threw it out there in that way because sometimes these guys obviously look for unrealistic money, with obviously fights. And I guess when there's that clamour of dazn around the world, as Paddy's obviously experienced next week, obviously headlining in America, that sort of makes sense. Obviously, Jay Harris would go, what's in it for me? dazn again, sort of thing, so that can make sense in some ways. But I guess it's the politics of boxing sometimes, like that you're probably going to be next in line for Commonwealth, British and Europeans. I think you're ranked 3 or 4. So, like, whichever the belts of these become vacant, you're going to fight for one, if not all 3 next.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, people will ask for crazy money and stuff like that. And, like a Jay Harris has obviously probably earned good money in his career so far, so he would have more of a right to do that. But you get some people just asking for crazy money that aren't even earning 10% of that money themselves to further fight. So I don't think whenever it comes to that sort of side of things, it puts my head away, do you know what I mean? But there is fighters out there that obviously I would probably be more of a risk than the reward that they're going to get. But there's other fighters there, like I said, the likes of Conor Butler, similar sort of place as myself, lying in his own career, and why not just do it, do you know what I mean? Or whoever wins, if they want to move on, they want to push on, fair play to them. But free the belts up and let me take them, and then I'll chase you again, I'll catch up again, and we'll see where we go from there.
You experienced obviously being on a Frank Warren show and obviously BT Sport, now TNT Sports last year, and obviously the politics with obviously programme and everything else meant you didn't get to fight for a title. I guess the next time you're seeing obviously Lewis Crocker obviously headlining dazn, obviously seeing Paddy obviously headlining dazn. You've seen obviously Paddy win the ABO. You're seeing a lot of success around places, so it's only right that you want a piece of that pie. There is that time where you're going to have to start spending a few pound. We had to bring it in there. Owen Oneill says, obviously, even though that you're going over to North Belfast now, he allows you in. He says you're still, Owen Oneill says you're still not buying coffees.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Owen,
the fella used to ring me every day and come for coffee with me. I haven't seen Owen in months, mate. I remember that guy.
He said he got you a day pass to get into North Belfast.
Jesus, you tell that man to answer his phone. Since he's been over to North Belfast again for training, I haven't seen or heard of him.
He's getting stingier than you now then. I guess obviously finally then, obviously leaving in Orlando, Florida next week, it's probably easy for us to sort of be so focused on one track, obviously on Paddy, but no qualms, he's sort of getting in there as the underdog away from home and everything else. But like, what is it obviously about Paddy? You obviously train day in, day out with him now for about 4 years. What is it? Obviously it just seems to be it's nearly like a reversion sort of Rocky in some ways, because he's lived a dream. He's went further than he probably thought he was going to get to. Like, it's easy for you to sort of capitalise on that as well and see what drives Paddy on day in, day out.
Yeah, definitely. He's just the miracle man, isn't he? And in terms of this fight in Orlando, this is genuinely one of the fights that Paddy's had that I've been most confident in. And it's not to say like, I'm just overlooking anyone or I'm thinking Paddy's so much better than he used to be or anything like that. It's just styles. The style, Edgar Berlanga's style and Paddy McCrory's style is just fireworks, but I think it's going to be Paddy's fireworks that's going to prevail on the night, and like I hold my hands up to anyone if I'm wrong, but I promise you, and you know me, Morty, I wouldn't be going to Florida and having to spend money if I didn't think Paddy was going to win 100%.
There's still so many, there's lies at the very end of that. You spend the money and obviously flights. We know obviously Jessica obviously has bought the flights, bought the hotels and everything else. I'm surprised you haven't rung Eddie Hearn to ask for obviously free tickets in. Obviously that's what we know what you're like, but it's a
Bought the tickets too.
She's bought the tickets as well.
Everything. Told you, but see when I have a fight coming up, I don't even look side. That's just tunnel vision towards the fight. Jessica's booking everything, planning everything, and then I just get to show up and act like the man when she's done it all herself.
but like obviously I know that obviously you have that pride there as well. Like when obviously you become a world champion and obviously you're rolling in money, that's when you'll start giving the treats back to her. Obviously, boxing obviously is one of them games. You obviously have to have that track and everything. But once you become world champion, you'll start spending a few pounds on it then.
Yeah, well, definitely. As long as I can spend a bit of time, that's more important, isn't it?
But look, obviously, congratulations, obviously, on moving the 9-0-1 with obviously 6 KOs. Obviously, congratulations on your win. Enjoy Orlando, Florida next week. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get the Magic Man to get you some fight news soon.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Morty. Thank you.
Cheers, Conor. Thank you.